Florida's Attorney General is actually leading what you might call a states' rights backlash. They're talking about the 10th Amendment and the fact that the federal government has not explicitly been given the right to impose a mandate on Americans to either get health care coverage or pay a fine or a tax if they don't have it. Florida's Republican Senator George LeMieux is behind this move 100%. He joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ollie.
I just spoke to Christine Gregoire, one of 4 governors in states that have joined this lawsuit who are not in agreement with their attorneys general about going forward with this lawsuit. But it sort of just underscores the issue here, and that is that people thought this was done and they were going forward with it. I want to understand the basis behind this lawsuit, because generally speaking, there are going to be states that don't like things that the federal government does. Why does this sort of elevate to a different level?
Well, the issue is not whether or not the states like it, it's whether or not it's within the federal government's authority under the Constitution to do parts of this bill. And the one part that is really being seized upon by Bill McCollum, our Attorney General in Florida, and Attorney Generals in other states is this idea of the mandate, that the federal government is going to tax or fine you if you don't purchase health insurance. That is beyond precedent in this country. We've never said that the Congress has the power to enact a law to fine you for not doing something. So that's one of the arguments he's making, among others, and I think it really is a states' rights issue. It's also a right of the people to have their own authority and not to be regulated by the government in an area that we never intended the government to be. What
in your mind would be the best outcome of this? Because there's obviously something a little political about this. It tends to mostly be Republicans backing it, and it's certainly a last stand against health care reform. Are you expecting to see this go all the way to the Supreme Court and possibly win?
Well, it is going to go to the Supreme Court, I think. I think they make a very good argument. I've looked at the precedent myself. I used to be the Deputy Attorney General in Florida, so I've reviewed the case law. I don't think that the United States Supreme Court has ever said that the Congress could go this far. So I think they will win. But look, this health care bill is not over. We're going to debate and discuss this issue for the coming decade. It's a program we can't afford. There's substantial cuts to Medicare. We're going to put 15 million new people into Medicaid. I filed an amendment today on the floor of the United States Senate that says, look, if Medicaid's good enough for 15 million more people, 50 million in total, let's put the United States Congress, let's put all 535 of us and Joe Biden into the Medicaid program. It's a failing program that's not working in our states, and it'll expose the hypocrisy of this health care bill.
All right, so let's, as a former Deputy Attorney General and a U.S. Senator, and you have read all of this, tell me how we square this circle. We do accept that Congress does mandate all sorts of things that involve people having to do something or pay a tax of some sort for it. Why is this so different?
Well, under the Commerce Clause, which is under Article 1 of the Constitution, when it talks about the enumerated powers of Congress, the Congress has the power to regulate commerce. The Supreme Court over time has viewed that very broadly, but they have never applied it to a situation where someone is failing to do something, failing to take an action. They've never said that the federal government could regulate that far. And I really think that is the clear distinction here. This is not saying we're going to regulate you because you bought a bushel of wheat
let me
or
ask
you're
you
driving
something,
a truck
Senator.
across state lines.
What about when you fail to pay your income tax? What about if you fail to register for the Selective Service? There are provisions that allow you to be penalized if you don't do certain things.
Well, the income tax, for example, is a specific provision in the Constitution. It is a different provision. I think the Selective Service thing is different. I think that's defending the country. I don't think that is a failure to act to purchase health care insurance, which you're supposed to be taking care of yourself. The federal government says, we care more about you than you do. We're going to make you buy health insurance that you wouldn't buy for yourself. I think that's beyond what our framers intended. I think it's beyond the clear language of the Constitution.
Senator, thank you for taking the time to explain this to us. It does start to get complicated, and I appreciate that you seem to know the topic well. I appreciate talking to you.
Thanks for having me on, Ollie.
Senator George LeMieux joining us from Capitol Hill, Senator from Florida.